What's up, everybody? We are live here, YouTube, Everything Phoenix. Guys, I am so excited to be here. I hope you're excited to join me on our weekly call here every single Tuesday. We're going to dive deep here on what the future for the 2026 future housing market is. Okay, now we're talking comparing a little bit of 2024 to 2025. And based upon that comparison, comparing 25 to what's going to happen in 26. Now, we also have some development stuff to talk about here in Phoenix as well. There is a lot of things happening on the development front in Phoenix, Arizona. And what's going on with interest rates, guys? What is happening with interest rates? Are they going to come down? Are they going to stay up? What is going on, guys? This is the show that you will tune into to find everything, no pun intended, you need to know about Phoenix and data. The data, not just someone's loudmouth opinion. So let's dive into our show right now. Okay, I'm going to share my screen like I always do, and we're talking our Crawford report, guys. You know the Crawford report. You know the deal, guys. If you watch this at all, you know that balanced market is between 90 and 110 on the Crawford market. So what is the Crawford Market Index, the CMI? Well, it is taking all the supply and demand. It's like supply and demand 101, which, by the way, economics is based a lot off of that, if not solely on that. At least the most of it is. So you are talking 89.1. We are just on the precipice of being a balanced market, but we're not quite there yet. We are 89.1, guys. We were in the low 80s and in the 70s just a few months ago, and things are starting to turn around a little bit, guys. So if you think we are going to continue on this progress and go more and more towards the balanced market, maybe actually hit the balanced market here soon, give me a like. Smash that like button. Hit me a subscribe on this if you don't mind, to show me that you actually believe that's what's going to happen. And if you don't hit it, then obviously you think it's going to crash or go down the opposite direction, which, by the way, no one knows. Let's be very clear about that. I don't know what it is. Now, what we do every single week on this show is we try to use data, not feelings, not emotion, to determine what the trajectory of the Phoenix housing market is. Okay. And that's why you're watching this show. So I'm glad you're tuned in. I will not waste your time. I will be very quick on this. We might go 15 to 20, maybe a little bit longer on the time here on our live, but I want to get through some data and share with you some development that's going on across the Phoenix area, because that's very important, guys. What follows development? Jobs. And if you have a lot of jobs, then what comes after that? A local, healthy economy. That is awesome. What's going on, Kelly? What's up, bro? Beans. YouTube didn't auto update to show the live stream, but I made it. Dude, thanks, bro. Appreciate that. You gotta love the fact I appreciate that, and thank you for commenting. It makes me feel like I'm not just talking to the camera the whole time by myself, because it can be kind of lonesome. But we're back. We're back. We took a week off last week because we had a conference to be at, trying to educate ourselves more and more on the data of what's happening in the Phoenix market and the overall macro housing market and where we're going in 26. That way we can bring more and more value to you and our clients at the end of the day. So thanks a ton for that comment. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to share my screen and go back to this, guys. We are almost in a balanced market per the CMI. So what happens next? Now, there is some interesting data here we're going to talk about. But before I get into that, I want to do the meat and potatoes, guys. You expect to know where the median home price is going in Phoenix, right? I mean, the median home price is the basis, the foundation of pretty much every conversation that spurs from there when it comes to the housing market. And as you can see right here, we are at 990, guys. So we're $10 short of 450. Go figure, right? I don't know how they get the $10, but the sample size so far, we're in January. It is the 20th today, and we have a sample size of 2,200 homes that have sold to give us this number, guys. So we're basically at 450. Now, remember when, if you're watching the show in December, early December, we are spiked, man. We are up at 480 on this, but I was like, you know what? I think that's temporary because some big homes sold in early December. And even though it doesn't have the kind of swing that the average price point will have on the median, it still affects it a little bit, right? Especially when you have a small sample size. But as the sample size grows, then the median, kind of gets it to be more and more accurate. Well, right now we're at 449. Now we ended in December at 456,709 for those of you who recall. We ended the year 2025 at 456. We'll round up. We'll call it 457, and we are already down in January to 449,990. But what's happening with supply? You can see right here, guys, the seasonal trend that you know about always continues, right? We're talking active listing counts. Look at this, guys. We are at 21,263 on the active listing side. Now, if I go back 1 year, look at the same thing happens. Now, granted, there's more today than there was in the beginning of 2025 in terms of inventory on the market, but look at the trend. The trend just climbs and peaks in May last year, and it's going to peak again this year. If I go back even longer, you're going to see a similar trend every single year. Okay. But we're at 21,263. That's a lot to choose from on the market. If you're a buyer looking to purchase a property, it's a lot to choose from, but it becomes a micro market very quick. Okay. Very quick. All right. Oh, yeah. Good point. So I think you said something about the third week of January being the historical highest of supply. Yes. In terms of the amount of supply coming onto the market on a per week basis, we usually have the week of the third week of January, that week of usually having the most properties coming onto the market. And it did spike here. You can see right here that, so thank you for calling me on that. You can see right here, it is spiked here this past week, right? This little curve right here, boom to boom. Hard to see on a smaller screen, but right there, if I share my screen, you might be able to see it better, huh? Because you got, here we go, right there. See a little spike? Boom, right there. So a lot of inventory has come on in January since the beginning of the year, and we spiked up big time this week. So we're not out of the woods yet. I think if I look at my calendar, you can see that we are in that third week right now, right? So we will see what happens by the end of this week if that spike even gets even more on a pitched line. If it does, we'll know it. We'll report on it next Tuesday. Either way, right here on our YouTube Live edition. Now, demand and supply. Let's look at the seasonal trends here, okay? New listings by calendar month. All right, here we go, guys. This is going all the way back to the year 2000. This is tracking everything since the year 2000, and you can see that there is the most supply hitting the market overall for a month in the month of March, okay? And January is right there. Now, a lot of people are like, well, you know, they come from the Midwest or the East Coast. And like, yeah, you know what? Typically, you're going to look at March to April. And so I'm going to wait till then. Or you have the same effect where you have people who want to enjoy their house in January and February because wherever they came from or normally live in the Midwest, you know, East Coast, it's cold. And so they want to enjoy it. And they say, you know what? As soon as we're done enjoying this sucker, we're going to put this thing on the market and try to catch the back end of the season in March and catch the families looking to buy homes all the way through June. And that's what happens, guys. You can kind of see it. Now, what's interesting is October, after a little summer lull, has a good amount of inventory that comes onto the market, and then it drops off dramatically through the rest of the year. Seasonal trend. But how about the demand side of it? That's the supply. How about the demand side? Well, I'm glad you asked because here you go. All right. Notice the difference. If you go back and forth here, look at how many listings in January since 2000 come onto the market, and look how many people in January are buying homes. Guys, if you want to get a decent deal on a property, think about buying in January. Now, there is this four-letter word I talk about all the time that starts with an H called hope. And so just because someone puts the house on the market and it sits a little while in January doesn't mean they're going to give it away, because if they've been educated, they know that more demand will continue to increase in February and in March through June, almost every single year, like clockwork. Guys, you can see the reason why a lot of properties come on in March, because they know that it gets eaten up by May through June. And again, why is this so? Weather is a big part of it in Phoenix, but also this little thing called kids. And they might be big things in your household because they might be teenagers and they're tall and they're big. But kids play a huge role because of school cycles with the cyclical nature of the housing market in any city across America. Now, Phoenix, it's a little bit different, a little bit skewed towards the January side, you know, than most cities, obviously, because of the warm weather, which is awesome. We love it because we don't really have too big of an off season. Now, you can see, looking at here, that July can be a little bit of a lull because, look, guys, look at July. July is still a lot of homes that sell. Look at that, more than February. More than February. People don't realize that, okay? But they typically did their house shopping in June and they close in July. But even August, September aren't that bad when it comes to home sales, okay? Then the quarter four sometimes is a little bit lower. But guys, that is the seasonal trend of our marketplace. Now, let's go check out some data, guys. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this for you, but we're checking out the comparisons between 2025 and 2024. And what this annual snapshot says is that it was unlike, they basically were unlike each other, and there's very few similarities between the two across the board. Okay, Now, a lot of mixed signals with red and green on the table. So the differences between 24 and 25, there were some things that were worse. And if you summarize what this chart says, by the way, look at the foreclosure notices, a lot higher. Look at the actual execution of trustee sales, which are foreclosures that actually went through. They more than doubled. 527 in 2024 to 1128 in 2025. So they've gone up. Now, 1128 is peanuts compared to what they were, call it 2012, 10, 09, okay? But nonetheless, they are on the rise. A lot of red right here when it comes to trustee sales to beneficiary, to third party. Total sales down, okay? New home sales down. But look at the resale market, guys, at the very bottom here, up. So here are the percentages. Number one, there was a drop of 12% from apartment-style homes, i.e. condos, from the year before, whereas single-family detached homes were up 5%, okay? That's unusual to have that kind of a swing. Secondly, there has been a major rise in completed foreclosures. We just talked about that, almost doubling compared, or actually over doubling, compared with the year before, okay? An alarmist persuasion could focus on this and go, oh my goodness, the sky's falling, but the volumes are so tiny, they're almost not even a blimp on the radar, okay? Thirdly, we see a swing in favor of resales and away from new homes. New homes went down 9% year over year, while resales rose 2% year over year. More people are opting for the resale property, even though new home builders, as we had discussed ad nauseum on this channel, have laid out the red carpet for buyers to purchase their properties, i.e. through interest rates. Guys, you know how this works, right? And by the way, maybe this is for you. So just because new home sales are going down and more people are kind of attracted to the resales doesn't mean that's right for you and your situation. So guys, you guys know that home buyers, what their home sellers, let me back up, home builders, there you go, Kelly. Home builders are offering interest rates that are far less than what you can get most of the time in the open market when you buy a resale home from your local lender down the street. Okay. But you have to buy their house and at their terms, and then you get that interest rate that might be 4.99 or 5.5 locked for a longer period of time. That's great. Why? Because it makes your monthly payment come down a lot more than what it would have been if you got your typical mortgage at a normal rate that's advertised online and with your lender. Okay. However, in Phoenix, most of the new construction is all on the outskirts of the valley. So if you don't want to live on one of these suburbs that are in the outskirts of the valley, like in these valley, a lot of building going on in Santan Valley, Queen Creek, Florence, even down in Pinal County, okay? And then you have on the west side, a ton being built in Surprise, North Phoenix, Buckeye, Goodyear, and the list goes on, okay? So if you don't want to live out there, you want to live on it towards the middle of the nucleus of the center of the city, then resales the name of the game. And it's maybe not worth paying the extra $250 a month on your mortgage payment in order to drive an extra 30 minutes one way to your kid's practice or your place of employment, that sort of thing. So that's what we're seeing right now, guys, the most, okay? And guys, thanks for the hearts and the likes. I really appreciate that. It makes me feel like I'm at least providing some value to those out there. And I will continue to try to make this data boring stuff actually somewhat interesting and fun. But let's go back up to here because there's a couple other hot takes on here that I think you guys should be interested in, okay? January 20th, just today, we have been asked if we include coming soon listings in our active listing counts. The answer is no. We think it'd be a mistake to consider coming soon listings, guys. Now, what is that? Now, what they're saying in this situation is that the rules of the MLS for a licensee, a real estate agent across almost any single city in America, by the way, they have their own rules. Now, the rules change from city to city, or they can change from city to city. Like, for example, in Phoenix, as a licensee, we are allowed to actually do a soft launch or pre-market a property as long as it's listed on the multiple listing service as coming soon status for a period up to 30 days before it has to go live out to the masses. Now, guys, the thing about coming soon is they are not listed on the portals. They're not listed on Zillow, on Redfin, on Realtor.com, etc. if they're in coming soon status. Until they are flipped to being active, they now are on those portals. So until then, you really want to get with a realtor or somebody like that who has access to give you those properties that are listed coming soon, because you get a pre-look before the whole world does at some of these properties, which is kind of interesting, okay? So keep that in mind if you're shopping for a home. We'd be happy to set you up on that type of a search as well. In addition to the other agents that work certain areas a lot, specifically, they have lists of homes that are coming to the market that aren't even coming soon yet. Now, as a licensee, you can't advertise them. But if you ask that real estate professional, hey, do you have a list of off-market properties that you are aware of coming to the market? And they say, yeah, they're more than happy. They can share those with you. Okay. So just keep that in mind that not everything is on the big search portals. Okay. Now back to this article is kind of interesting. UCB, which is under contract, and CCBS, which is contingent, meaning like they have a house to sell first and it's not sold yet before they can actually close on your property. Okay. Are included with pending listings that are have a contract on them. Okay. So just really interesting stuff to make sure you're aware that there is a whole plethora of properties in the coming soon status across any marketplace in America that is not going to show up necessarily on the big search portals. Okay. Now, January 19th, there was another hot take here, which is kind of cool. Taking another look at figures from the start of 2026. Now we're talking 26 and comparing it with some data from 25. So here we did 25 and 24. Now we're going to do a little bit of a hot take between 25 and 26. Okay. So buckle up. Here we go. This is all you need to know right here. 3 key readings across all areas and types are positive. What? I'm sorry, what? Not negative. But Kelly, I've been watching so-and-so's YouTube channel and they say it's going to crash 37% and I can buy a house for like, pennies on the dollar. I guess it's possible, but I would ask you where the stats are coming from. And if they show you stats, do they manipulate the time frame in which they choose to show you so that it looks like it's going down? But what if they backed out another 6 months, 12 months, 5 years? Would the trend be the same? Interesting, right? Because we all know real estate is cyclical. Values go up, they go down, then they go back up again and down again. And that's how it always works. So it's going to happen at some point. Okay. Now, active listings are growing more slowly, up 5.5% from the start of the year compared to 8.9% growth last year. That's good. Okay. Listings under contract are growing faster, more demand. The contract ratio is increasing faster, which is great, up 8.7% from the start of the year compared with only 2% in 2025. More demand. But there are some not so positive readings, and here they are. Not everything is always rosy. The monthly rate of closed sales is losing steam compared with last year. Okay. Meaning we had some good demand beginning of 2026 already, and now already starting to lose a little bit of steam. So we'll have to watch that because that's not good. What if it just goes, right? That won't be good. The actual level of active listings remain higher than last year, up 8.9% as of today, but down from a 12% gap at the start of 2026. And the contract ratio started much lower than last year, but it's caught up and we're essentially level with January 19th of 2025. Okay. Perhaps a little too much effort was put into closing transactions by the end of December for a lot of people. Why? Could be for tax reasons. And we are catching our breath in January. Okay. So they are some of the weakest of the year so far in January, but hopefully that will not continue. But we'll see. Maybe it is. And the naysayers will be correct, right? But even a broken clock is correct 2 times each and every day. Okay. So let's keep it moving, guys, because I want to give you guys some development stuff and we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Oh, by the way, let's check out. Oops. Ooh, there's a map. Let's check out rates, guys. Where are they? They're at 6.21%. Guys, look at this dip here. Did you guys know that rates dropped down to right around 6, actually hit 5.99% on the 12th, 13th of last week? Guys, if you had a chance to lock a loan, you could have locked it, very low. And by the way, just because rates say they're 5.99% on here today doesn't mean you can't get a 5.75 rate, because the way rates float between segments and quarter points, eighth of a points and stuff, right? And maybe if you're paying some points up front, or maybe like half a point or a quarter point, all these different ways you can manipulate to get the payment down if that's your biggest pain point. But yes, there's no free lunch. It does cost something to you to do that, but strategize. Check with your real estate professional, your lender, and figure out what's the best situation, because don't always go with what online says, because you may not be like the online case study. You might be a lot better or worse, but you need to know how to do it for yourself. Okay. Now, I'm going to jump in here and show some development here, guys. This is crazy. Now, there's some positive stuff here. There's some interesting stuff, I think, right? But Phoenix to open more new hotel rooms in 2026 than nearly any other major U.S. city. Phoenix will open 3,600 hotel rooms, second only to New York, and that outpaces Dallas, Orlando, Miami, just to name a few across the Phoenix area. CoStar's projections show Phoenix is opening 46% more hotels in 2026 compared to the 15 that opened in 2025. Guys, that is good. That is getting Phoenix on the map for big events to be able to host these huge events and bring more tourism to our city. Okay. Next one, guys, this is huge. Barrett Jackson, CEO, says collector car demand strong despite economic uncertainty. Guys, if you haven't had a chance to go to Barrett Jackson, I would highly recommend it. Guys, this is a 2021 McLaren Elba. Is one of the most anticipated cars crossing the auction block at Barrett Jackson, guys. And there is a lot of people have a lot of cars, that have no reserves. Barrett Jackson Scottsdale auction features 1,900 cars with no reserve, and it's held this week, right now, here in Phoenix through this Sunday, guys. If you have a chance to go through the 25th of January, here it is. You should definitely check out Barrett Jackson, located right here in North Scottsdale at Westworld. It is a phenomenal time. They have, I mean, guys, it's way more than just walking around looking at cars. There are the vendors there are wild. There are so many cool things there you could buy or not, or just look at when walking through here. Here's some pictures from it from so far, I guess, this year already, because it started last Saturday, and some really cool cars that are on the auction block with no reserve. So whatever you want to bid, if you're the highest bidder, you get it, right? That's the deal. Okay. So some really cool stuff and a lot to do there, guys. I would highly recommend that you definitely get some tickets and go. It's a great time. Spend some hours up there. Okay. Moving on. My view, this is someone's view on when the American dream stops making money, a rental nation looms. And what this person goes on to say is that the housing market faces collapse if buyers stop viewing homes as wealth building investments, because he goes on to make the case that if everyone just gave up on the house, making them money over the course of 30 years, let's call it, right, then they probably just rent. And if they just rent, now you become basically peons, we're serfs and vessels, right, to all the major players that have the money that will buy up everything and then just rent it out to all of us. And obviously it's a little extreme, but certainly you don't want that, because man, the housing market, the American dream, has made people a lot of money. For most, that's the retirement. And so, yeah, the housing market is cyclical, and there needs to be a crash, a correction, maybe not a crash, but probably a crash too every once in a while, but a correction every 7, 10, 12 years, because we need to keep it. And guys, by the way, you buy in the dip, right? So when it goes down, you buy, and it comes up. Maybe you don't buy, or maybe you do buy if you get a good deal. But then you just understand that it's going to go up over time. And if you have a 30-year mortgage and you let that sucker ride, okay, then what that home is going to be worth in the course of 30 years is going to blow your mind. I mean, pick a city right now in America and go back to 1995. Pick a city and pick an address. Research that address, doesn't matter, and find out what that was worth in 1995. Because see, we say 30 years, and we're like, yeah, it's a long time, but 30 years is not, is it really going to double? I mean, my house is already $1 million. Is it really going to $2 million? Really, Kelly? Yeah. And then probably some. Okay. And I would argue that the house in 1995 that I don't know, $100,000 is probably about way more than 200, put it that way, right? Probably like 5, maybe more. I don't know. Depends what city they're in, right? But I think that's very important to understand, guys, and not obviously we can't decide how that works outside of what we can control as individuals, and what we control as individuals is actually taking advantage of the American dream and using tools like a 30-year fixed mortgage to hedge against inflation over the course of 30 years and let it ride, and not have an exit strategy of always buying and panic selling when things go wrong, and just hold down the fort, bunker down, and do your best to have some savings, some reserves below your means, and hopefully see what happens on the other side of it 15, 20, 30 years from now. And you'll probably like what you're going to see, because again, I challenge someone to go back anywhere in America in 1995 and pick an address, see what the home value is today compared to what it was back then. And by the way, we had the worst housing recession since the Great Depression in that 30-year time period as well, and still see what that house is worth. It'll blow your mind. Okay. And if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. But I got a few more development projects. Don't go anywhere yet. We're almost done, but not quite. Hold on. Guys, Banner Health, $750 million Scottsdale Hospital project faces delay as planning vote is postponed. Well, this is interesting. Why? It's a 300-bed facility, Okay. And it's been postponed indefinitely. And they say it's divisive because you have airport traffic flying overhead. I don't understand all that, but that's what they say here, right? Hospital's proximity to a busy Scottsdale airport, traffic in the area, and the impact the hospital could have on the nearby fire department and ambulance services, guys. So this is interesting because, guys, this is scheduled to be built in pristine real estate location right here inside the Loop 101, right in there. And that's a great spot for anything almost. But they're saying now, I guess maybe that hospital is not going to be built right in this area, which, it'd be great for Scottsdale's local economy, but maybe not so great based on these other things that these people are bringing up. I don't know, but that's for them to decide. But I'm just reporting the news here. Taylor Morrison unveils a 473-acre luxury Phoenix community plus more Valley real estate deals. Guys, you know what one of the number one questions I've received, probably literally in the past 1 month? The number one question, almost, or top two for sure, okay, is what do you think buying a piece of real estate, land, home, whatever, up by the TSMC factory is going to be a good play and that will continue to appreciate? And the answer I always say is yeah. Now there's some caveats to that, right? But generally speaking, yeah. Now let me show you my screen because I'm going to show you a map of what I'm talking about. Okay. Here's a map of Phoenix again, my trusty old map. You go down the 101 right here, up the I-17. Guys, right here is where, let me go to the satellite view because you get a good feel for it. Right here is where the TSMC, you can see it on the map right here, is being built right there. Okay, under that North Gateway sign. Okay, well, guys, this article that I'm right here about Taylor Morrison, 473-acre luxury Phoenix community, okay, is being built right in this area. It's called Verdon, and it's 473 acres with 1,225 homes. Okay, now this land's already acquired, and there are other builders looking to acquire more land all around here, guys. So there will be more homes being built down in this area here, up north of the 303 as well. And so this is all going to be built out over the next 20, 30 years. But for now, I do believe, even with that all being said, that inventory coming to market, you're going to see homes around this area, if you can get a decent deal, to buy it and hold it, because this whole thing is $165 billion investment in Arizona and the United States of America is going to continue to make this whole area that much more sought after. Okay. So that has been a very, very common question. So I want to make sure I point that out unequivocally today. Okay. Mixed use district plan near Tumbleweed Park in Chandler. This is cool because I think down in the East Valley, they need more mixed use projects. Chandler seeks developers for a 16-acre mixed use district at Tumbleweed Park. It would include an upscale hotel. Okay. And here's the map right here. So you can get the map right here. Let me zoom out. You're Germain and McQueen. Now, 202 is a good guide to work off of. But you can see the 202 right here. I mean, it's just right there south of it by the small private airport there. Great place to have a mixed-use development, in my humble opinion. That's good. Arizona begins I-10 widening project between Phoenix and Casa Grande. That's very important. It's the second phase of a major expansion on the I-10 heading out towards LA. Okay. Next thing, AZ master plan communities show strength despite softening national home sales. Okay. This is the highlight that I think we need to focus on. 2 Arizona master plan communities ranked in RCLCO's top 50 nationally. D.R. Horton sold 596 homes at Radiance at Superstition Vistas, and Eldorado Holdings sold 446 homes at Bella Vista Farms. Okay. So, and by the way, and more big parcels are being purchased to get ready to be developed for more housing supply, which, by the way, thank you, because we need the housing supply over the next 5 to 10 years, especially. Okay. So anyways, this is good stuff, guys. And it just shows Blossom Rock's another one out in the East Valley. That's going to be just incredible with a lot of homes as well. But this shows strength, even though the housing market is somewhat balanced, or some would say soft or slowing national sales. Okay. Then, of course, TSMC, go figure. You can't even go a week without some news about TSMC may build several new fabs in Arizona as part of a proposed U.S.-Taiwan trade deal. So, yes. Guys, I said 150 billion, 165 billion. Well, now guess what? Did you see that number? 300 billion. Taiwan just pledges over 300 billion with a B U.S. investment under proposed deal. TSMC may expand Arizona site to nearly 12 fabs. Guys, we're talking 3 to 5 right now, 12 fabs. U.S. would lower Taiwan tariffs from 20 to 15%. Guys, holy Moses. That's a lot. Okay, a few more things. We're out of here, guys. Arizona sees big gains in 2026 retirement rankings after placing near the bottom a year ago. Guys, this is good. If you're thinking about retiring to Phoenix, give me a call. We'd love to help you out, guys. We help literally, I feel like it's about probably one person a week we average who is retiring to the Phoenix area. And we absolutely love it because we're passionate about the Phoenix area and this whole beautiful state of Arizona. It jumps 20 spots to number 22 for retirees. The state ranked 9th for taxes and climate. That's always good. And Phoenix senior housing sales reached $535 million in 2025. That's nothing to sneeze at. And speaking of Taiwan, Starlux Airlines launched nonstop service between Phoenix and Taiwan. Guys, I'm telling you, the connection between Phoenix and Chinese Taipei or Taiwan is real. And flights are being now generated on, I think there's 2, China Airlines and Starlux, okay? 2 different airlines that are having nonstop flights across the Pacific, okay? All because of this thing called a microchip in a semiconductor, right? Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy how that works? Last but not least, the 30-year fix, we talked about that, and that will do it, guys. The map right here, again, this whole area is going to be crazy over the next 20 years. Okay, now we'll keep talking about it because I think it's very important to know how that affects the local economy, I should say, economic impact for the Phoenix area, which is going to be pretty big. So we just hope that the environmental aspect of it is just as good. And as I reported on a couple months ago, TSMC also is building right now as we speak their own water treatment plant as well to recycle all that water being used to the point where they're going to have about 98% of it being reused at all times for all the fabs and the semiconductors because it uses a lot of water, which the desert doesn't have. I mean, we do, but you know what I'm saying there. I could do a whole show on just the water aspect, which maybe I should give you an update on what's going on with that. Okay. What's up, Kelly? Have you heard any update on the Gilbert water? Oh, you read my mind. The water bill situation. It does make the consideration of a Gilbert house challenging, concerning. Okay, so I haven't. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, just make some up, blah, blah, blah. I haven't. But I will research that because that's a great point. And a lot of our viewers love these valleys, especially Chandler Gilbert. And so I will find that out, make a note to myself as soon as we hang up here and log off. And I will get that information to you next Tuesday, 4 p.m. local time right here. Guys, thank you for the comments. Thank you for the hearts. I do appreciate any likes on the channel, and subscribing would really, really help. If you're watching a replay, leave a comment. Let's get the conversation going below. And guys, until next Tuesday, 2026 is shaping up to be a good year. Let's think positive. Keep it classy, Phoenix.